Poole. Peter has been writing stories for more than 10 years, often taking more than 10 years to improve them, no matter how short they are. In addition to planning 2 new stage plays, he has just entered a flash fiction competition with a couple of brand new mini-tales. And Peter's story, Inspector Alec, will be read by Ben Pritchard.
Alec knew it would look good on the mantelpiece. It was a fine object, the wood polished with loving care, the colour a rich reddish brown. He ran his fingers over the smooth bowl and long graceful stem. "Want a light, mate?" said a cheery voice. Alec looked up and saw a grin that matched it. The man's hair was a kind of rockabilly quiff, once jet black and shiny, now a grey tuft like ash-tinted grass. Perhaps the motorbike had been swapped for a moped to get to the cash and carry. It was the cafe's owner, cook and dishwasher, keen to please his customers. He had at least one job too many. Alec had gone for a walk that afternoon, bored by his own company in a seedy flat with a silent phone. He'd expected a call about a job, but it seemed Alec's skills were not required. Maybe he should call back, do a pitch like a Hollywood hustler, although it wasn't a glamorous job. Hardly the thing for a drama graduate, resting a while, who wanted more kudos than ketchup on his resume. Still, he needed a fiver for the meter, or boiling the kettle would be a game of chance. He didn't like lukewarm tea. Alec thought a little more, and then decided on a plan to make an impression. He had found it one day in a vintage shop, just to the east of Queen's Road. It was like a place from a book about Brighton, where they contrast the old with the new, photographs of a street today and how it used to be. Only the shop was still how it used to be. A gentleman's outfitters from way back with garments spanning a century. Alec loved how the shopkeeper hung the clothes outside. From tuxedos to snazzy blazers, velvet jackets to anoraks, trousers swung to and fro and shirts ruffled in the breeze. A mirror invited one to sample the wares hung beside the shop. It reflected the cemetery over the road as a kind of Arcadian backdrop. Trying things on would have been fun, but Alec knew what he wanted. Leaving the springtime sunshine, he prowled into the gloom within. There was a jumble of hats in a corner, like a basket of giant fruit. A hat for everyone, it seemed, depending on what one wished to be, and all worn once by those who had been. He found the right item and paid for it. Mr. Fashion, thought Alec, as he strolled about town. The cap might have been military, perhaps an officer's from the Second World War, of unknown rank and regiment, or equally that of a bus conductor. The lack of badges and other insignia made it difficult to tell. It was better than a gaudy baseball cap or the battered trilbies in the pile. "Does you nicely," he'd been told in the cluttered old shop. "They'll be saluting you up and down, sir, from Elm Grove to Southwark Green." It had shaded him in the summer, when lounging on the beach, with a certain irony, like a punk in a necktie. Now the clocks were ready to click back another hour at the swan song of the holiday season. Alec finally gave in to the cold. His Bermuda shorts were stashed for another year, and his vests were rouged from summer hibernation. The cap had felt a little daft before, but now it had its time. The phone call would never come. Alec donned the long dark greatcoat, plus a woolen scarf and boots from the army surplus. Impressive, thought Alec, as he put on the cap. That was quite an ensemble. The sun still shone with the faintest warmth. It cast a glittering splash of colour on a choppy sea, while a breeze chilled the air. King's Esplanade lay wide and empty like an airport runway. Alec's shadow lengthened as he walked towards the piers. A bird swooped suddenly, low and quick, but did not attempt a landing. Alec paused at the West Street subway. noticing a baby's blue bobble hat lost by the looming archway. He imagined a troglodyte emerging to grab it like a trophy. Should he leave it? Take it? If so, what on earth for? Then a tap on the shoulder and a female voice. "Excuse me, please, can you help?" She was a student dressed in a quilted anorak, striped like a licorice allsort. "There's this dog running loose, what you call a Rottweiler, trying to bite Susie, my friend." So what? Thought Alec. It had nothing to do with him. And anyway, he didn't want to get rabies. Alec started to turn, but somehow could not pull away. "Show me the dog," he said calmly. She glanced at a gap between two beach huts as the thing padded back forth onto the esplanade. Not quite the beast he'd been expecting. It was just an Alsatian, though still pretty mean. But the outfit gave Alec his confidence. He went up to it, whispering, stroking. The growl turned to a whimper, and the dog backed away. Alec gave the student a nod of affirmation. She smiled with a trace of wonder. Susie, her friend, emerged from behind a bin. Alec strolled to the Palace Pier, keen to lose a little loose change. His dole money was due tomorrow, so why not splash out a couple of quid? He preferred the older mechanical machines, though. But he enjoyed watching the displays of computer wizardry, digital racetracks and shoot-ups of increasing sophistication. Some kids were bunched around a violent game involving a painful array of sound effects. Their ties had been loosened after school. Jason was doing badly, and Martin banged the cabinet. "You're so sad," said Martin, shoving Jason away. "Watch this, the professional." Martin whacked the buttons like the machine was the enemy. He was attempting to destroy it. Alec could not stop himself. "Excuse me, young man, enough." Martin turned, so they gazed at each other. There was an uneasy moment of silence. What would happen next? A row? A fight? Would Alec get the blame? "We're really sorry, sir," said Jason. "I'll be quiet, sir," said Martin. Alec glanced at a security guard who looked a little confused. "Under control," said Alec, moving off with a tap of his cap. Better not push it too far. Alec wandered the promenade as the sky turned yellowy orange. Chewing on a strip of gum, he kept a careful eye on everything. A speeding cyclist approached as if playing a game of chicken. Alec stood there, eyeing him impassively. The cyclist's shadow reached him first, stretched long by the low sun, before the idiot braked, skidded and half tumbled from his bicycle. Then he edged round Alec, slowed to a crawl. Another act felt rather more positive. Two nuns were directed to the railway station with intricate precision, so much so they could have drawn a map. "Bless you, sisters," murmured Alec. With all these diversions, Alec was thirstier than ever, so he was glad to reach Kemptown and find the cafe open. Alec blew his final coins on a mug of hot, steaming tea. "No discipline," muttered an old man, hunched over his own mug of tea. "Sorry?" said Alec. "You're talking to me?" A grizzled face turned towards Alec, prompted by the remark. Yet a look of calmness, perhaps awe, fell across the old man's face as he took in Alec's apparel. Got to give up the baccy," said the man with a wheeze, taking something from his crumpled Mac. "But I ain't got the discipline, you know. Here, Inspector, keep it away from me." So that is how Alec got his wooden pipe, given by a penitent smoker who turned it in like a gun. He admired the wood, the polish, and even clenched it in his teeth. "Want a light, mate?" said the cheery voice beside him. "No thanks, I don't smoke," said Alec. He'd come about a job, after all. The guy needed help washing dishes.